All right? Yes?
How would that work for illness? Like if you get sick,
yes,
or you get something that makes you very weak?
Illness is caused by separation from source, plain and simple. It's caused by fear. Fear is separation from source. So absolutely everything that goes on in your body happens first in the energetic field. All right? So if you have any imbalance in the body, any illness, any disease, it starts as a vibrational experience. So there is some sort of emotion or belief system that you're holding in your field. And it's usually there for quite a while before it manifests into the physical body. And if you don't pay attention then, you create an illness. Your body's saying, all right, we've got this program running and this is a result, all right, of that program. So now it's time to pay attention. And you will manifest a situation for yourself so that you can see that you are disconnecting yourself from source energy. So how do you cure illnesses? And this is one of the biggest changes that we also see happening in 2011. Even while there are healers, and there have been, who are working over and over and over again to help to people to shift their belief systems, you're still not fully tapping into the holographic mindset. All right, you're not tapping into the holographic oneness just yet because you're not ready to leave the old game behind. Shall we say that one again? Even though many of you are working with healing, you're working with source energy, you are still working through your own personal power and connection with source to work with another. You are presenting energy to another, and another has the ability to tap into that very frequency. Healers aren't healing the individual is healing themselves by tapping into the frequency that the healer is there standing and saying, here it is, this is the one you need to tap into. Healers never, ever heal anyone else. It's not the right term. They are way showers perhaps, or frequency holders, but they don't do the healing themselves. The individual must make that vibrational selection. All right? But what is not being utilized, what's not being tapped into just yet, because you're not ready to leave the old game behind, is to see that you are oneness and whole. And when you see that wholeness about yourself, you immediately change back to the original blueprint. All right? Your body had an original blueprint that was divine perfection with absolutely any illness in it. There was no illness. And so these belief systems of the ego have dropped that frequency of the divine mind. Right? The ego mind is different than the divine mind. The divine mind says everything is healthy and perfect and wonderful. The ego mind says, I'm not good enough, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm not lovable, I'm undeserving, and all those other horrible things that the inner critic has to say. And so it drops out of that vibration. It drops out of the divine mind. And the body becomes diseased. So you all are moving towards tapping into that divine mind more and more. What's happening is that you are tapping into separate frequencies. You're plugging into, say, the second tier in that operator switchboard, but you've yet to hit the top tier where it's just divine mind. Do you understand what we mean by that? Mm-hmm. All right. So probably in another year, you're going to start working more and more holographically and understanding that if you've got a bad knee, a bum knee, you can replace it with the holographic form. You go into the collective consciousness of the divine mind, you pull out that blueprint of that divine mind knee, and you replace it, you project it over the original blueprint. The blueprint alters to match the original, the vehicle matches the original, and there you are, you're healed. You're not really using that just yet. All right? At least not in a conscious way. The body knows how to work this way. The soul knows how to work this way, but the ego doesn't. All right? And even healers think that they've got to be more and more involved. They've got to know the process. Well, no.
Is that what you're doing with reconnective healing?
In part. There are lots of ways to get there. All right? You all are using tricks and focus for the mind right now, instead of just being. And that's the difference.
So doctors are tricks, and doctors would be tricks then?
Yes, even healers. You are utilizing modalities, all right? You're utilizing basically ritual. You're using habits to get someone there instead of just being there. All right? Do you understand the difference? It's doing instead of being.
How can you get somebody who's sick now, has cancer now, that he's that he leaves his illness behind?
Well, they've got to be willing to change their belief system. They've got to be willing to look at what created it in the first place. To look at where the anger is coming from. What are they angry about? Now, we hadn't really planned too much to talk about healing, but it's perfect, so let's go on. We've got a lot of time today. So with that...
You just learned how we can make you talk for hours.
Yes!
Hours and hours. Or watch back every minute.
Yes.
It's still 1 o'clock.
We'll have no... Very well done.
You're a good teacher.
You're catching on very quickly. For us, it's just the next breath, so we don't mind.
No, but for Wendy, it's a bit...
Yes, her vehicle isn't quite used to it, so we're trying to get her up to speed. So, with someone who's not well, especially with cancer, it's usually extreme anger, resentment that they are holding on to. And they've got to look at it. Now, usually, illness is not just rooted within this particular lifetime. This go-around is different because your desire was to integrate anything that was separate, that was isolated. So, to put it this way, you hold within your field, your holographic fields, you hold all of the records of all the experiences that you yourself have had in other lifetimes, and all of your genetic line. So any issues that your father or your mother or your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather had, they show up in your energetic field. That's why you choose your bloodlines, to set you up to have particular issues, fears. And each and every one of you, by the way, got the body that you wanted. You got the family that you wanted. It was the top one on your list. All right? So it wasn't an accident. You got exactly what you asked for. All right? So within this holographic matrix, you have records that are both from the past and from the future, because remember, time doesn't exist. So if you've got a past life, let's say it's 200 years ago, and in this lifetime you had issues of abandonment that you never dealt with, all right, and you went through the death cycle. You felt abandoned and left alone when you died. You didn't get a chance to integrate that fear. So you go back to the Council of Light, your review board, and you discuss what you're going to do. How else do you want to experience this? How do you want to project it? Where else do you want to project yourself? What experience do you want to have? Now, you don't have to go back into a body that is in the future. Remember, this isn't linear. So you can put yourself anywhere in time. All right? You could jump 500 years into the future, because those are the set of circumstances upon which you want to create the reality. Or you can say, all right, we're going to go back 2,000 years ago and give it a whirl. Take a deep breath. That's a big one, because you're so locked into linear reality, you think, all right, I have to start with a lifetime that was 10,000 years ago, and then I get to go up to about 2,000, and then 200, 100, 50. No, it doesn't work that way. You can go any way you want. Remember, time is a marker for experience. You can go anywhere. And not only do you go anywhere in time, you also go to multiple dimensions. All right? You aren't relegated just to the third dimension. There are other parts of your soul that say, all right, let's go play over in the sixth dimension here. All right, so those lifetimes and those records are also showing up in your field. There are other lifetimes that know very easily how to manipulate time, and that information is in your field because you yourself are over there doing it. Take a deep breath. So you've had the past life where you passed away, and you've got all this fear of abandonment. And then here you are in this particular lifetime, and you've recreated the situation for yourself so you can try to integrate it. All right, that that part of you never got it, so you're going to work on it from here, from this situation. So as you recreate it in the now, as you experience this, this is how it feels for most of you. When you access a past life, you recreate the issue in the now, and it begins to vibrate, all right? And it gets projected out into reality, and reality brings it back. But as it starts to vibrate, the frequency, that if it's anywhere else in your field, that same vibration is going to start to vibrate as well. That same frequency is going to start to vibrate. It's like having a room full of tuning forks, and if you strike the C note, all the other C's in the room are going to vibrate through the laws of resonance. So anywhere in your field that you're holding abandonment, it starts to vibrate. Now how you experience that in human form is, oh, I'm overwhelmed with abandonment. It feels really intense. All right, you say, this emotion feels a bit intense for how I think I would normally respond. Why am I off the charts with anxiety about abandonment? And the situation isn't that big. Have any of you had that experience? Not a one of you? Yes, we think most of you. So this is something for you all to be aware of. When you feel that your emotions are out of balance for how you would normally react, usually there is either something in a past life that is also being activated, or within your genetic line. You may be activating the same issue that your mother has. So her fear of abandonment is vibrating in your field along with your own. So as you learn to integrate it, you say, all right, what is this issue of abandonment showing me? It's showing me that I've been separating myself from Source. Well, all right, well, I want to connect with Source. How fabulous would that feel? So when you see that that situation with that partner or that lover was to show you that you need to connect more within yourself to Source energy and connect more with your own, how you feel. You see that it's been of service, and you no longer see yourself as being a victim and left behind by someone else. All right? Because being left behind by anybody is an illusion anyway, because you are never separate. You can never, ever be alone. That's just this program that you've got running that's part of the third dimensional game. So when you go up to the higher levels to see how and why you created it, you see, oh, well, that's an illusion. That's part of the game. I'm not separate from that person. I created that so I could see I'm not separate from Source. Do you all understand here? Mm-hmm. When you come to that recognition, you release the charge. So if you have that fear of abandonment, you switch it off. You neutralize it. Anywhere else in your field where that's running also gets neutralized. That information then gets sent off to that other lifetime. That is still, there is a point where that other life of yours is still having that experience. You haven't gone through the death cycle just yet. And you send that how-to book or that recipe or that guide and how to integrate that fear to that being, to that aspect of yourself. You also send that information about how to integrate abandonment to your mother. Now, your other parts of yourself and your mother can all decide whether they want to receive that record or whether they want to download it and save it. It's like you receiving a file on the computer. All right, you can open the file and you can run the program, or you can save it. If you feel that it's going to interfere too much with what you wanted to experience in this particular lifetime, you're going to compartmentalize it. You're not going to open and run the record. You still want to keep working on fear. You still want to work on abandonment. Usually, we would say 99 times out of 100, you are going to choose to run the program. Why would you need the experience twice? All right, if you've already learned the lesson, your soul's learned the lesson, you're gonna integrate and say, all right, I've got it. That one time that you don't is to say, well, I think I've got it. Let's just prove it to myself. All right, let's just try it one more time to make sure I fully understand it. And so you will. All right? So that's how healing works holographically. So as some of you start to understand how to replace parts of yourself holographically, as you start to connect more and more with the divine mind, you are putting into the records and creating new templates for everyone else about how to do it. All right? So not only are you doing this for the planet, but you're also doing it for the entire universe. And this is, you won't hear too many people talking about it because it's enough for you to think that you're changing the planet, let alone being overwhelmed with the thought of doing this for the entire universe. So There are...
Wendy, I've got a question.
Yes.
If we change by this program for the whole universe, there might be a person connected as well who really doesn't want to change his belief system.
Yes.
What happens?
They save the file. They don't open it and run it.
No, but what I think I have experienced is that this person got I don't know the English word at this moment, herseninfarct. Brain infarct. Is it possible?
Stroke.
A stroke, yeah.
So stroke is a choice.
Yes.
To create limitations in the body I'm just going to tune in for you. In this particular situation, it was to create a pattern with the family of feeling like they are taken care of and that they are loved.
Yeah, that's what I can see.
All right? So for them, until they can feel that, or until they learn the lesson and see that they are indeed loved, that is completely changeable, alterable, and healable within the body. If the being decides to let go of that. There's some interesting contracts there with family members that they've had lots of other lifetimes where they played this out a lot. So they play back and forth about who's going to be dependent on the other. A lot of relationships, issues where love is conditional. All right, and that's the focus of the issue. To learn about unconditional love so that they're both loving themselves unconditionally. All family members are loving themselves unconditionally. So it is possible for that being, as they experience unconditional love, both giving it to seeing themselves as more than just a physical vehicle. That's also part of the lesson in there. That they're going to be able to drop the program. They can drop the program and they can shift it. Do they have to? No. No. Not at all. There are beings on this planet who know full well that they're not interested in going through the ascension process, plain and simple. They want to play around some more in the third dimension because it's a fabulous dimension to be in. Don't think that just because the third dimension is a lower dimension that it is somehow diminished. It is incredibly unique. So there's a lot to be had in the third dimension. It's very, very special. But you all have been here, done that, and now you're ready to try something else. You're trying the biggest game in the universe there is. All right, so where do you go from there? Once you've gone through that process, you say, all right, well, I want to continue on in some other realms. But some beings wanted to be a part of it so that when they were ready to go through that integration process, they would have a good idea of how to do it because they were here on Earth at the time. And they will then share that knowledge and wisdom with other systems who will go through a similar process. So there are some who are not interested in healing themselves, period. And that's all right. It doesn't mean that they are any less than someone going through ascension. It's just a different vibrational choice. It's a different path. So we hold no judgment. And, you know, you may have family members, friends who are being very stubborn and resistant and residing in fear, and that is perfectly honorable. That is their choice. To be in that vibration, we honor all vibrational selections because they are all divine selections. Do you all get that? It's really hard when you see people who you think are choosing pain and separation. But we honor the free will of each being. We honor your choice to be separate, to experience that. Pain is perception. Nothing more. Pain is perception. We're talking about emotional pain and we're talking about physical pain. Once you shift your perspective to the higher perspective to see why you've created it, you immediately let go of pain. You can choose to stay in pain for 30 seconds or 30 years. It's entirely up to you, or 30 lifetimes, for that matter. And many of you have. But that is probably the most challenging thing for us, to watch you continue to choose pain. But we honor who you are. Even for us, it's a tough lesson. As guides, to assist you, to watch you be in that situation, to watch you crying and in pain. It's heart-wrenching for us, but we honor you as divine souls who are making that choice to have that experience. And so we will support you in whatever selection you make. And we are here to show you that there is another vibrational selection in case you want it. We'll stand there and point it out. It's over here. It's over here. All right, you can be there, but it's over here. All right. And so it's not easy. It's not easy to see people not making the choice to go out of pain, to stay in pain. So did we answer your question there with the stroke?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So what do you do for people like that? You hold the vibration for them. Just like the healer holding the vibration for the person who is before them, you do the same thing for your family. And you can work with their higher selves or their oversouls. And to say, there's another choice for you. You don't have to be in pain. And I'm holding that frequency that you are connected to source. And this is what it feels like. I'm radiating that vibration out to you. You can feel that pulse, that vibration. That's why prayer works. If you've got somebody who's ill and you all are sending that person that vibrational signature, they're being bathed in it. And when you're bathed in it, it gets a bit hard to ignore. All right? So they can find it easier. But if that person isn't being sent any signals, it's like they're looking around in the dark for it. All right? And this goes back to what we're talking about. You're all starting to create some grids. You are creating that frequency for people to tap right into. And when you create a grid or a template, it's like there's an outlet for it immediately, and you don't have to search for it. It's very easy to find, as opposed to looking on your own. All right?
What do you mean by grid?
Yes.
Making a grid.
Yes. We mean making a template. Now, around the planet, there are a number of major grids. You've got 12 major, what we can say, grids. Now, you have within your vehicle 7 major chakras or energy centers. And then you've got another 5. 4 of which are completely dormant. All right? That very few of you on the planet have activated. The 8th one, there are a number of you who've started to activate it. So the 7 chakra systems, and do you all understand chakras? And energy centers in the body? Yes. Where you process emotional and mental experiences. All right? And those 7 chakras deal with physical density in the vehicle. Now, the 8th chakra is about a foot in front of you, all right, or a third of a meter in front of you, and it is pink in color, about level with the heart chakra. It connects with the planet, all right? It connects you to divine source energy. Now, each one of the chakras are connected to a grid, all right? One of these energy centers are connected to a grid or a template. It looks like, if you were to see it, it looks like a crystalline grid in geometric patterns around the planet. Now, each of these templates or grids has a different pattern to it. It has a different structure to it based on the frequency and vibration. All right? So the 8th center connects you to the planet. Now, as we said, you're starting to turn this on, and a good number of you by the end of the year are going to have this one fully activated. Again, what's going on in the Gulf near the United States is helping to activate this for you, to see your connection with the planet and how you utilize her resources. All right? And how you are working with her. Now, we will say this as an aside, that you will never have a healthy planet until you yourselves are healthy. Because Mother Earth is a reflection of you as a collective. All right? So you can do what you want in the physical realm, but until you clean yourselves up, she's never going to be clean. She can handle her own. She's, she'll live on forever. But it's a matter of how you are living with her, whether you are taking care of yourselves or whether you're going to die off. All right? We see all of you in this room striving to reconnect with Mother Earth, connect with yourselves, and connect with divine source energy. That's often a very hard one for many people to get, that, and the most toxic thing that you put into the earth are your emotions. It has nothing to do with the chemicals. Your emotions, your grief, your pain, your strife, That's far more toxic. And what you see to be corrosive elements or toxins that you're putting in your water, that's a reflection of your emotions. It's a vibrational match for those emotions that you are projecting. So, you're all activating this 8th chakra, which is connecting to a planetary grid of collective consciousness. The first 7 are nature grids. We consider them nature grids and levels and layers of nature. Now, the 9th chakra is about a foot above your head. It's white in color, and all the chakras above that are white in color. And the 9th chakra connects you to the sun, connects you to the solar system. There are other planets in the solar system which are inhabited. All right, they're not all empty. Some of them are very much teeming with life, just not in the 3rd dimension. So all of the records of all of the experiences of all the beings in the solar system are being held in the sun, Helios. And as you activate the 9th chakra, you are able to activate all those records and pull in that information for yourselves. All right, then you've got your 10th, and that one is connecting you with Alcyon. All right, it's connecting you with the galaxy. So all of the information of all the experiences that have gone on in the galaxy are available to you when you turn that one on. And then you move on up to the universal chakra. All right, then the multiverses. And that's a lot for you to think about. And universes are very different. You're living in one that is duality. There are other universes where they are tripolar. Can you imagine what that is? You are so ingrained in duality, that's hard for you all, but you know, some are tripolar, some have 6 poles to them. So they can all be very, very different constructs to the game. So as you activate all of these chakras going up, you've got the 12 chakras, what will happen is they will all align and open up, and the 12 combine to form the 1. The 1 is connecting to source. Once you get all 12 connected, you connect to source energy. You run and connect to source. And you can connect with a template of source. You yourself can hold 12 levels and levels of consciousness in your body at any time. All right, but the body itself is not running plugged into those templates. All right, you've got to shift your consciousness up there, but you don't stay there, because if you stayed there and held that level of consciousness, the body would have to change. And you want to stay in the game. Do you all understand that? What we mean? Anybody who doesn't get that concept? All right, you don't get it. All right, so remember, your body is generated out of an energetic template. So if you hold a higher level of consciousness and you start to vibrate at a higher level, it's going to change the template so high that you've got to change the body and the vehicle. That's what you're doing as you're going through this process of ascension. You are elevating your level of consciousness and running higher frequencies, so the body's got to adapt. All right, so right now you just project yourself up, and what happens now, you project yourself to a higher level of consciousness, and you can't stay there, because when you start to bring in that higher light, anything unlike it gets activated, and you drop out and say, oh, what got activated? What fear? Fear gets activated. It's like a jolt. It jolts you back, and because it's vibrating. So that's why sometimes when you have a lot of good things going on, and all of a sudden you create an accident for yourself, you think, well, what was I doing? I didn't have any negative thoughts, and here I created this accident. It's because you were holding so much light and joy in your field that anything unlike it got activated so that you could process it out, so you could maintain that joy and light level. Do you all get that? No. All right. Through the laws of resonance, rather through the laws of entrainment, if you've got a higher vibration and a lower vibration, and they're of equal strength, what will happen is the lower vibrational signature, the lower vibrational frequency, will start to increase to match that of the higher one. All right, through the laws of entrainment. It's a natural law. So if you're holding all of this high vibrational energy, if you've got fear anywhere in your field, it's going to get activated. All right? It's going to get activated because your desire is to hold and maintain this high frequency. And if that's in your field, you can't do it. So you've got to come down and address it so it gets activated and triggered. All right? Because lower frequencies cannot exist in the same place as the high ones. All right? So they get transformed. Love and fear cannot be housed in the same vehicle. So the more love you hold, the more fear's got to go. You've got to transform it. All right?
Mother Earth likes it when we transform fear.
Again, dear?
Mother Earth likes it when we transform fear.
Yes, you like it when you transform fear. We're excited to see you transform fear.
Now, I had a woman who came to me for healing, and she kept saying, I'm not giving my negative energy to the earth because it will harm her. And it took me a while to explain to her that if she feels better, it's better for everybody and it's also good for the world.
Yes.
Did I understand?
Yes. Well, whether she wants to give it to Mother Earth or not, she is, because she's part of the collective. So, because you're holographic. So, by healing herself, she aids to healing Mother Earth and all other beings around her. This is part of the power of one. Now, the power of one has two meanings to it. You as an individual hold tremendous power of change. Never underestimate the power of one individual to make great change in their entire environment and everyone around them. As you hold light and love in your body, as you walk through a room, you are a beacon for others, so that if they're down in the dumps, you come in and it's like a breath of fresh air. And it's like you're holding the ceiling up, and they didn't realize that they were stooped down. And so they can elevate their own vibration because you have shown them what's possible. And before you came in the room, they didn't know that that was a possibility. So don't underestimate the power that you have as an individual to affect change. Now, the other part of the power of one here is that as you start to work as a collective, as you start to create intentions in groups, it's exponential in what you create. All right? Because you are using the natural force and flow of coming together. All right? The more of you that come together, the faster it comes together. Because you are utilizing more of the natural flow. And it is exponential. It is exponential. All right? So does that help with your...
Yes.
Yes, and it's... we wish if there's one thing we could impart for you today, it's don't underestimate your power to create change. You think, I'm one little person, how can I create change? Especially those of you who feel yourselves isolated, if you feel that you don't have a large circle of friends who have the same belief system that you have. You're the catalyst for everyone around you. Most of you make contracts. And those contracts said, all right, I'll be the first to wake up. You all can sleep for a bit. I'll do it. I'll be alone. I'll be up in the dark house for a while. And I'll come and I'll wake you. And so you are. All right? They are there to be reflections for you. So anywhere that they're judging anything about you, like they say, oh, you're weird, or you are, that's really strange, that's showing that you still have judgment. All right? Otherwise, they're going to say, that's really interesting, because it resonates as truth to them, plain and simple. All right? And if they're not ready, then they're not going to be in your presence. And that's something else for you all to know. That unless someone is ready to experience your light, they are not going to be in your presence. So don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't think that you are going to shock people. Or say, oh, well, this family member isn't quite ready to go there. Well, if they're in front of you and they're in your presence, then they're ready. They may not understand all of it. They may not appreciate it because they haven't expanded their awareness just yet. But they wouldn't be there. Through the laws of attraction, they would not be there unless they were ready to hear it. You may be planting a seed, all right? And they may say, oh, I don't know about that, and walk away. But then they'll hear it again elsewhere, and they'll say, I've heard that before. So they may have needed to hear it from you for you to plant that seed in order to hear it from somebody else later, to say, this is familiar. So don't think that others aren't ready. All right? Be you. Don't hide who you are. Feel free to express yourselves. As we always say, this is the new norm. Being able to connect with Source and walk around in your divine presence is normal. That's where you're all headed. Especially in higher realms, 4 on up, that's normal. To experience separation is incredibly unique, and we would say it is not typical. It is not a typical experience. All right? Take a deep breath, everybody. Keep the energy flowing and moving here. So we think that this might be a good time, unless you've got any questions, to go ahead and take a short little break. All right? So we'll get more into the power of one. We'll talk a little bit more about Atlantis, a little bit about Lemuria, and some about Egypt as well, and answer any other questions. Don't be shy now. There are no silly questions. So we'll also tell you that if you've got that question, somebody else in the room's got it as well. Or if they're not in the room, then it's someone listening to the recording. So don't be shy. All right, dear ones? So we will see you here shortly.
Thank you.
After that.